Hello, my name is Ernesto, and today I want to walk you through 5 of my favorite features in Dorico that I actually use day to day in my own writing. Okay, let's get into it. So when you're working in a large score, there can be a lot of instruments that you're dealing with at a time, and it can be helpful to get rid of the things that aren't relevant to you in the moment. So instrument filters are one of the small ways that really make a big difference in your day-to-day workflow. So I have this beginner band piece that I wrote several months ago. And to access the instrument filters, we're going to head into Galley View. You can do that by clicking this Galley View button down here in the status bar, or do as I do and use the key command Option Command 2. Now we're in this continuous scrolling view of Dorico. Now to access the instrument filters, all you have to do is go over to this little overlay here and click the filter button, and now you're activating the instrument filters that you have set up. Now I have a few that I've already set up, and this is part of the grade 1 concert band template that I use, which you can get for yourself at learndorico.com/templates if you're interested. But I have it divided up between high voices, middle voices, and low voices. Now, how do I do that? If you click on these 3 dots here, you can manage your instrument filters, so you can create a new one. And then here on the list to the right, you can pick and choose any instruments that you want to include in that. I'm just gonna pick some at random. I'll hit OK. And then now it appears in the little drop-down menu that I have here. So if for any reason I need to look at these instruments, I can. Don't need that though, so I'll delete it. Now, why is this helpful, especially in this context? Well, in this style of writing, an educational piece like this, it's customary for similar voiced instruments to play the same parts. It just is very helpful teaching and having them listen to each other and that kind of thing. So I have these different filters set up so that I know that all of the high parts either share the same or similar music. It may not always be the case, but that's the power of instrument filters. You can customize and make your own groups and have the same instrument appear in multiple different instrument filters. So that's up to you. But this is something that I find very helpful, even in large orchestral scores, when you're trying to make sure that, say, the violins and the high woodwinds have the same part or something like that. It's easier to just make an instrument filter overlay and then select it when you need to, rather than trying to jump around in the score back and forth just to make sure everything is right. So the instrument filter overlay, super helpful for me. The next feature that I find very helpful is the ability to have multiple layouts per instrument. So let's jump into setup mode, and I'll show you a few things that are going on here. So to the left, I have my various players. I have a flute player, clarinet, and then the rest of typical band instrumentation. To the right are all of the layouts. And the difference between players and layouts is that players are the people that you imagine are playing the instrument, and this is what's set up in the score that you add music to and is then showed up on a layout. Now, a layout is the actual piece of paper that will be printed or exported relative to whatever you have. Now, the advantage of having layouts separate to players is that you can create your own layouts and mix and match different players to appear on these layouts. So by default, when you create a new player, it appears in both the full score layout and a part layout for it on its own. Now you see that I have flute and oboe sharing a staff over here, and I also have a trombone, euphonium, bassoon sharing a staff on the full score. So what I did to set this up was I just had a single flute player added, and then selecting the instrument under this player, I went under Edit Names, and then I just added a new line, added the oboe, same with for the short name here. And then I made a new part layout and just renamed it to be oboe. That way I have one player that I input music into, but then there are 2 separate parts that come about, one called flute, one called oboe, and then those parts are distributed to the players as necessary. And then of course this entire thing appears in the full score as well. So that's why when I select the flute player to the left, these 3 layouts light up because they're included in these layouts. Same with the trombone over here. Similar thing, I edited the name of the instrument, just added new lines, trombone, euphonium, bassoon, and created appropriate layouts so that the same music appears on all 3 of these layouts, and they're separated like that when it's exported. If you wanted to do something similar, then you could create a new layout down here. It's empty, so now let's select one of these players to appear in it. Say I wanted the trombone part in here. It's named trombone, but we can rename it to, say I needed this to be the tenor saxophone. So now when I select the trombone player, all of these parts light up. However, I don't really need that, so I'll just select it and then delete it. The third feature I really love using are percussion kits. The way this is set up, I have two percussion parts, percussion 1 and percussion 2. Now, if I open the player up, you'll see that I have this kit. You can tell it's a kit because it's green instead of blue. I'll hit the three dots and let's edit the percussion kit so you can see what I have going on. I just have two instruments, snare drum and bass drum. If you wanted to add a new instrument, you would hit this plus button and then select from a large list of instruments that you might want to add to a kit. And then you can select where on the staff it should appear. I like my bass drum at the bottom space and the snare drum in the C space of the staff. Similarly, in percussion 2, I have basically just some metal instruments, so crash cymbals and then the triangle down here. And again, I just edit the names and add the instruments that I want to add underneath, format it the way that I like, and that's how I have it appear on the score like this. I could make that text smaller if I wanted to, or alter it in any other kind of way. And then inputting music across your created percussion kit is really easy. You can do that in both galley view and in page view. Now, the next feature that I really love making use of when I'm writing day to day is insert mode. Now, if you don't know about insert mode, prepare to get your mind blown because this is one of my favorite features of Dorico in general. So say I have some music that I've written already in this thing, but then I realize that I need extra music in the middle here. I don't necessarily want to spend too much moving things. So what I'll do is I'll enter note input mode, then I'll hit I. You'll see that these chevrons have appeared on the caret. And now we've entered insert mode. So I can write new notes here. And it's nudged everything after this point forward out of the way to add these new notes. I can delete them similarly. And this is like working in a word processor like Microsoft Word or something like that, where you just add text where you want to and it nudges everything else out of the way. And when you delete things, it pushes everything back. Insert mode can be even more powerful than that. So there are various modes of insert mode. So you can have it nudge everything globally. So you'll see that this dotted line has now appeared across the entire thing. So I can add music as I want to. And it nudges everything out of the way to make space for this new music that I'm adding in the middle of what I've already written. That in the composing process is so powerful and so useful. I'll delete that again because again, I don't need it. And I'll turn off insert mode and just get out of this motion. Now, do keep in mind that insert mode can affect your music whether you're in note input mode or not. So if I have insert mode on and I delete this measure, everything else has been deleted from the measure and gets pushed back. So you have to be careful of whether you have insert mode on or not. If you have insert mode on, it can affect things way further inside of your flow that you're working on. So an easy way to make sure that you're not messing things up is to use the key command Shift Option I, and that adds this, what they call a stop. So if I have something insert mode related, so let's add notes again. It just affects everything up to the stop point. It doesn't affect everything after this point, which can be very helpful. I'll get it out of insert mode and out of note input mode again. To get rid of this, you can just grab this and throw it off. Insert mode has even more capabilities that you can dive into, so look into that here on the Dorico official YouTube channel, in the manual, or through learndorico.com. More on that later. Now, another thing that I find incredibly helpful in Dorico is scrub and loop playback. So it's no secret that you can play back your music as you have it based on whatever playback template you have loaded up in your tune. So I'll just start from the beginning. But sometimes you just need to get a little bit more granular in what you're hearing back. So there are various options for being able to scrub playback back and forth if you need to hear how instruments interact with each other. So an easy way to do that is to hold Option spacebar. Then I can just move my mouse around to listen back and forth across measures. This can be helpful to listen for your voice leading or to listen for mistakes if the music is playing back at regular speed a little too fast. Very helpful. Additionally, you can listen to individual instruments if you need to. So I'll hit Shift, Option, Spacebar. And then remember, just hitting spacebar plays and stops your playback. Bonus tip, if you want to start playback somewhere, select a note or some event in that place and then hit letter P. Or select a single instrument. To solo playback. Also helpful is loop playback. So if I hit the cycle button up here in the transport, there are these purple locators that have appeared. So I'm just going to drag one end of this over here and drag the other end to say there. Now I'll select the beginning of that and then hit play. And then it plays back. So I can listen to the same little part again, over and over again, which if people are around you when you're composing can be annoying to them, but sounds good to me. So I'll turn off cycle playback and that'll disappear. You'll notice that the locators are still here. If you prefer not to see them, under the view menu, go to cycle locators and just uncheck it. When you hit the cycle button again, they'll appear no problem. So just letting you know in case you want to get rid of it and it's in your way or something. Okay, so if you've been thinking about trying Dorico, now's a great time to do it. They're running a sale this month for Black Friday. And if you really want to get up to speed, then check out learndorico.com. There, I created the Dorico Beginner to Pro course, which is not affiliated with Steinberg or Dorico, just something I made on my own. But if you're interested, it takes you through learning Dorico's interface for the first time, to note input, to engraving, to playback, and everything in between. It's very comprehensive, it's very in-depth, and it's on sale for 20% off for Black Friday as well. I hope you enjoyed this little tour of some of the features that I love using and that I actually use on a day-to-day basis when I'm writing in Dorico. The culmination of these little things that make writing just much easier and faster means that I'm more productive and I'm not fighting with the software to get my ideas down. Of course, subscribe to the Dorico YouTube channel. There are all kinds of videos and tutorials and helpful resources on this page that I'm sure you'll find helpful. And consider subscribing to my channel. I document my career as a composer, do score study breakdowns, and talk about music technology like Dorico. Thanks so very much for watching, and as always, take care.